over at BangTheBook.com. We are your one-stop shop for sports betting news and information. Lots and lots of great stuff going on over there, as always, including my 30 MLB season win total previews and all of my futures content across the 6 divisions, both pennants, World Series, Cy Young and MVP in both leagues, and also the Home Run King. We've also got conference tournament previews for all 13 conferences this week, and then we will do all 19 for next week. So very, very busy time over at BangTheBook.com. Make sure you check out Kyle Hunter's daily college basketball picks piece, Parker Michaels' daily NHL picks piece. We've got golf, NASCAR, great tennis preview for this week from Big Ten Watto, who's picked 7 winners in 8 weeks here so far. So tons and tons of great stuff over there at BangTheBook.com right now. And, of course, make sure you check out our Bang the Book YouTube page as well. A lot of good videos going up over there on a daily basis. Finally, as you know, this and every edition of Bang the Book Radio presented by our friends over at DSI Sportsbook. BTB200 is that promo code, 100% deposit match bonus for the Sportsbook, 100% deposit match bonus for the live casino. At BetDSI, it's only a game until you bet it. All right, I'll finish out the week here on Bang the Book Radio with what I promised by talking about the American League Central Division. We'll go in alphabetical order looking at these teams. Actually, you know what? Let me touch on something else first. A lot of banter, a lot of buzz on social media on Wednesday with the announcement that Major League Baseball wants the lineups submitted to the commissioner's office to then be submitted to Las Vegas, and in particular, the MGM sportsbooks, before those go public. So the beat writers will no longer be racing to post those lineups before everybody else. They now have to go to the commissioner's office. I guess the thought process behind this is the integrity of the game when it comes to betting on baseball, and obviously Major League Baseball in a partnership with MGM and their sports books. So MGM will have this information 15 minutes before anybody else. So they will be making adjustments to their lines. And obviously, you'll want to keep an eye on those MGM sports books because, we may see 20 or 25 cent moves if a starting pitcher gets scratched, maybe 5 or 10 cent moves if a star player gets scratched, something like that, or if they're just simply not in the lineup. So you want to keep an eye to MGM Sportsbooks in the afternoon on see what those lines are doing. Now, for me specifically, it doesn't really affect me a whole lot. This is really going to affect the modeling and the quant crowd, and that's something I would be very worried about with those people. And, my condolences go out to them because they try to pummel these numbers right away when the first lineups get posted, try to get as much line value as possible. Well, some of that's going to be taken away. Some of the arbitrage might be taken away. Obviously, you can take some early morning positions because the sportsbooks will still have all these lines up. They'll simply be making adjustments once those lineups come out. But still, very, very interesting development here. I personally think it's a little bit overblown, but when you do get a starter that gets scratched or something like that, obviously it's going to create a ripple in the betting markets out there. So that'll be what I'm watching it for. It won't affect me too much. It won't affect my article too much. Obviously, if you're a modeler that's out there, you want to be keeping in mind platoon advantages and things of that sort. And, also just kind of be trying to read between the lines a little bit and see when star players may get a break. Maybe some of those getaway day games or, those Sunday afternoon games, something like that. Maybe you want to err on the side of caution when you're talking about teams and their superstars. But a very interesting development. And I think a lot of people are concerned about this because it's sort of a gateway into what we could see going forward as these leagues try to take more of a progressive, or not even progressive, but more of a proactive stance on sports betting. That's something that I would be worried about in the future. But again, I don't think that this impacts anything too much, at least not for my purposes. But I certainly understand why a lot of people are upset, particularly the modeling crowd that's out there. And I'll talk more about that in my daily picks piece at bangthebook.com once the season actually starts and once we see what happens here with these MGM numbers. All right, well, let's talk about the American League Central here. We start with the Chicago White Sox, 62-100 last year. Season win total this year, 74.5. And, they tried to align all their ducks in a row to get Manny Machado this offseason. They signed John Jay. They signed Yonder Alonso. Machado and Jay are workout buddies. Alonso is his brother-in-law. But Machado eventually winds up going to the San Diego Padres. And look, to be completely honest with you, I never saw the hype about this White Sox team. A lot of people were excited about them early on in the offseason, and I don't really get it. I mean, I know they have Eloy Jimenez, who is the highest projected player by Fangraphs calculation of WAR based on their depth charts projections, but he may not even start the season with the team. He'll be up at some point this year, but may not start the season with the team. A lot of their prospects, they're still a year or two away from the big leagues. And of course, Michael Kopech having to have Tommy John surgery doesn't help them a whole lot either. So for the White Sox, I just never really got the buzz. They added Ivan Nova, they added Irvin Santana, but Ivan Nova's a guy with a 4.40 FIP in his American League days, so that doesn't concern me. Santana had an ERA over 8 in his 5 starts last year. Not concerned about that either. Reynaldo Lopez is probably the best starter that they have right now. 3.91 ERA, 4.63 FIP, 5.22 xFIP. Doesn't miss a lot of bats, a decent walk rate. Gives up a lot of home runs, but he is a high fly ball type of guy. So I wouldn't expect him to regress back towards his xFIP, but still not a guy I would want at the front of the rotation. Carlos Rodon, he's always hurt. Lucas Giolito, maybe he's starting to figure it out, but I don't really buy that. The offense isn't particularly good here either. Their highest player in F4 last year was Omar Narvaez. He got traded to Seattle. Yohan Moncada, maybe this is the breakout year for Moncada, but only a 97 weighted runs created plus last year, which means he was 3% below league average. Did play pretty well defensively, though, along with Tim Anderson, who was 3rd in F4, but an 85 weighted runs created plus. So he was 15% below league average offensively. Look, I like Daniel Palka. Hits the ball hard, hits some tanks. He's a high strikeout, high walk, high home run guy, not a great average guy. I don't love this White Sox rotation. I don't love this White Sox offense. Now, the bullpen could be a little bit better. They picked up Kelvin Herrera. They picked up Alex Colomé. I think those are a couple of guys that could really help this team. But offensively and from the starting rotation, they're not good. This is an under team to me, under 74.5 wins as far as I'm concerned. The player to watch, and I will talk about one of these for each team here, is Carlos Rodon. Rodon last year, his best first pitch strike percentage in a while, but his swinging strike rate down to 9%. Guys don't chase. 88.7% zone contact percentage. As I've mentioned in the past, you need to get those swings and misses in the strike zone. You need that margin for error. Rodon doesn't have that, and guys don't chase. So he's just a failed prospect at this point. He's a big name, but a guy that I would not back in any kind of favorite role more often than not. Maybe even a little bit of a fade guy for me as we head on into this season. Let's talk about the Cleveland Indians here. 91-71 last year, season win total 90.5 this year. Obviously, a lot of people bummed with the offseason that they had. They didn't wind up trading Corey Kluber to, fill some voids on offense. The outfield has a lot of unproven types of guys. So, it's understandable why this win total's sitting at 90.5. But look, when you talk about the Indians, you've got an elite starting rotation here, the best starting rotation in baseball. I recommended in my AL Cy Young piece catching a piece of all three of Carlos Carrasco, Trevor Bauer, and Mike Clevenger for the Cy Young. Clevenger sitting 95-96 in his spring training start yesterday, so you definitely have to love that. But all three of those guys, high strikeout potential, playing in a very, very weak division. Those guys are all going to have a case for the Cy Young if they stay healthy here late into the season. And once again, look, the Indians are worth a World Series investment. They're going to win the division. They're going to make the party. How quickly will they leave the party in the playoffs is the question. There will be hedging value, though. You can find them 12-1, 14-1 in that range. They're going to win this division, barring some sort of catastrophe with Francisco Lindor or Jose Ramirez. So I would still recommend a World Series futures ticket and be ready to hedge that thing right away because they'll be an underdog against the Yankees, Red Sox, or Astros in the first round. Look, the lineup does have some questions, but despite their top heaviness with Lindor and Ramirez, who accounted for 15.6 F4 last season, I mentioned this in my write-up over at BangTheBook.com. This is a team that will walk a ton. Carlos Santana's back. Jake Bauers has always had high walk rates. Lindor and Ramirez walk a lot. Jason Kipnis had a 10% walk rate last year. Greg Allen walked a lot in the minor leagues. So did Jordan Luplow. This team's going to walk quite a bit. So they're going to create offensive opportunities. Will they be as good offensively as last year? Maybe not. But this is a team that's going to be in position to score a lot of runs. Hopefully these young guys in the outfield do wind up being a little bit more consistent than anticipated. And hopefully Leonis Martin can build off of his career year offensively last year. Look, this is a bad division. They play 117 of 162 games against teams that had losing records last year. It's hard not to like the Indians to go over this win total as a result. And again, like I said, grab a piece of their World Series futures because they will make the playoffs here in this division. Pitcher to watch for the Indians is Shane Bieber. 4.55 ERA last year, but a 3.23 FIP, 3.30 xFIP, strikeout per inning guy, elite walk percentage. Last year, he was hurt by a 3.56 batting average on balls in play and a 69.4% left on base percentage. Maybe he's a first 5-inning guy because his splits the third time through the order are pretty rough, but he spent the offseason developing a changeup, and a changeup will help you the third time through the order and will also help you from a platoon advantage standpoint because it gives something that runs down and away from lefties. Maybe that's something that Bieber was missing in his arsenal. He's going to make the leap this year. He was almost a 2.5 win pitcher last year. I would not be surprised if he's a 3.5 or a 4-win pitcher this year. He will make the leap. All 5 starters for the Indians are well above average. This team may have to win a lot of close games, and that may be where the bullpen comes in. But this starting rotation is absolutely stacked. As a first 5 team, the Indians are going to be a cash cow this year. You're going to lay some big prices to do it, but their rotation is absolutely outstanding. We move on to the Detroit Tigers here. 64-98 last year, 68.5 their season win total this year. I actually kind of like the over a little bit with the Tigers. This is partially a fade of the Royals, partially a fade of the White Sox. But, for the Tigers here, look, if Miggy Cabrera is healthy, he's still a bona fide hitter. Last year, his average exit velocity, 94.4 miles per hour. Lots of hard contact. Hopefully he can stay in the lineup and be a productive hitter. Nick Castellanos will be a good hitter until he gets traded. This is a Tigers team that I'm going to look to play against lefties, and specifically look to play against lefties at home. I think they will be a very good return on investment against left-handed pitchers when they're playing at Comerica Park. So that is one betting angle I really do love about the Tigers here this season. I think this rotation is kind of decent. Michael Fulmer, his velocity is down in spring training. That's a big concern for me, to be sure. But I like Matt Boyd. I'll talk about him more in a minute. Jordan Zimmerman, big first half, second half splits. He was better in the first half than the second half. But for all these guys, they pick up Matt Moore, they pick up Tyson Ross. Big home park factor advantage for the Detroit Tigers. I think their starters can fare very well at Comerica Park here this season. I think they could be a 500 team at home. If they're a 500 team at home, going 41 and 4, or basically 41 and 40 or 40 and 41, can they be decent enough on the road to get over this win total? I think it's a possibility. So I do like the Tigers a little bit over their season win total. The pitcher to watch here is Matt Boyd. 4.39 ERA, 4.45 FIP, 4.72 xFIP. Look, the quant crowd's not going to like this guy. They're not going to like him at all. So I think we could get some value on Matt Boyd at home, where he had a 3.64 FIP last season. This is a guy who had big home road splits, but he's a guy that's an extreme, very extreme fly ball pitcher. So xFIP is irrelevant for him because he's not going to post a league average home run to fly ball percentage. And that's what xFIP is. It's FIP regressed to a league average home run to fly ball percentage. A lot of guys aren't going to post one of those. Matt Boyd is one of them. So I think Matt Boyd will be an underrated guy, in particular at home this season. So I'll look to back the Tigers at home against lefties and also with Matt Boyd on the mound. The Kansas City Royals, 58-104 last year, 69.5 their season win total. Salvador Perez being out for the year is a big deal. He's a very solid defensive catcher, about the only guy in this lineup with consistent power. No, he doesn't walk. No, he doesn't hit for average. But it's really going to hurt them not to have him throughout the season here because of what he means defensively, especially in terms of throwing out runners, and also offensively on the power side. Now, the Royals are going to be an interesting team, though, because they've got Billy Hamilton, they've got Terrence Gore, they've got Whit Merrifield, they've got Adalberto Mondesi. They're going to run a ton. They're going to be very, very aggressive on the base paths. Now, the problem is they're a low average, low on base, low slugging percentage team. So what they're going to hope to do is increase that slugging percentage by turning singles into doubles, doubles into triples, etc. they're going to run a lot, and they're going to be a very good defensive team. So they're going to be interesting. They're going to be a tough team to get a handle on. But over the course of the season, with a bad rotation, with a team that just lacks offense, I really don't think that they're going over this season win total. In fact, they're under one of my stronger opinions here in the American League. Can Danny Duffy figure out his mechanics? Walked a bunch of guys last year, lots of wild pitches. Can Brad Keller stave off regression? I don't know. 3.08 ERA, 3.55 FIP, 4.26 xFIP. But he was a guy who his home run to fly ball percentage should actually regress because he was a high ground ball percentage guy. When you induce a lot of fly balls, you can carry a low home run to fly ball percentage. When you induce a lot of ground balls, your home run to fly ball percentage typically goes up. So because Keller didn't allow a lot of home runs last year, he had the 3.55 FIP. I would expect that to regress. I guess this is the worst bullpen in baseball. This is a team where I look to go under the total and also, may end up playing some unders with them over the course of the season because they're going to be an above average team defensively. Player to watch for me here on this Royals roster, Jake Junis. Jake Junis last year, a 267 WOBA against when ahead in the count, a 412 WOBA against when behind in the count because his fastball is not great. His slider is his best pitch. He threw it about 40% of the time last year. If Junis is facing a very aggressive, very impatient type of team like the White Sox or somebody like that, I'll look to back Jake Junis in the Royals. When he's facing patient teams, though, that can get ahead in the count, that's not a spot to back him. So, again, I will be putting together that team-by-team preview with some betting tips, stuff like that. Jake Junis will be on that list for exactly the reasons that I just mentioned. One more team to talk about here in the American League Central as we wrap up this edition of Bang the Book Radio. That is the Minnesota Twins. 78-84 last year, season win total 84.5. Look, they're the only real challenger to the Cleveland Indians this year. They've got the best offense in the division. They added Nelson Cruz, added Marwin Gonzalez, added Jonathan Scope. A lot of people like Max Kepler for a breakout season. Miguel Sano, unfortunately, not going to start the year with the team, but maybe this is the year that Byron Buxton figures it out. And even if he doesn't, as long as Byron Buxton stays healthy, he is an elite defensive center fielder. He will help out this pitching staff quite a bit. Jose Barrios looks to be an ace, a frontline type of guy. Had number 2 starter numbers last year. I would expect him to be better. How about Jake Odorizzi in the second half last year? 208 average against, 291 on base against, 339 slugging against, 277 WOBA against in the second half. That made up for Kyle Gibson falling off in the second half. This is an interesting Twins team. They are all in on analytics. They hired Wes Johnson, who has no major league coaching experience, as the pitching coach. He comes over from the University of Arkansas. His nickname is the Czar of Velocity. So the Twins are going to throw hard. They're going to try to get strikeouts now. It's going to be a real interesting dynamic there, especially with a 35-year-old manager in Rocco Baldelli, who's younger than Nelson Cruz. So should be a lot of fun to watch the Twins. I think they're a year away. I would not play their season win total one way or another, but by a year away, I mean a year away from maybe challenging the Indians here in the American League Central. Pitcher to watch for the Twins is Michael Pineda. Michael Pineda missed all of last year recovering from Tommy John surgery. 4.39 ERA with a 3.61 xFIP in 2017. 4.82 ERA, 3.30 xFIP in 2016. 4.37 ERA, 2.95 xFIP in 2015. 4.05 ERA for his career, 3.33 xFIP for his career. So what we're going to have here is we're going to have a guy in Pineda that the market is going to love. Because when you get these high ERA, low xFIP guys, the market trips over itself trying to back them. I won't do it. Because what Michael Pineda has proven to me over his career and over those 3 seasons I just referenced is that he doesn't have the command profile. If you want to look for guys to regress to their xFIPs, you need a guy with average or better command. Pineda does not have average or better command. Until I see it, and maybe we will, until I see it, I will not back Michael Pineda. I will not follow the market in backing him. First of all, he's coming off of a major operation. So the velocity is going to be fine. And when you see velocity reports about Michael Pineda in spring training, they're going to excite you. They're going to be eye-opening. But the problem is command is always the last thing that comes back for a pitcher after a major operation, and Pineda's was never very good to begin with. So I think he is a guy that will be overvalued in the market, probably pretty significantly. I won't look to back him. Maybe I'll look to fade him. It'll be price dependent. But that's a guy where you will see a lot of line moves in his favor that I will not agree with over the course of the season. So gives you a look there at the American League Central. I'll talk about the American League West next week. Maybe do a one-off show or something like that Thursday or Friday. Maybe combine it with the Christian Pina segment on Friday for the UFC. Talk about the American League West. I will make sure I get all these divisions previewed before the season starts. And as I'm recording this here on Thursday afternoon, 3 weeks from the start of Major League Baseball season. So I'm very, very excited about that. A reminder that next week, no shows Thursday or Friday, or the following week, no shows Thursday or Friday. We'll chat. We'll do the Monday mailbag on Monday, so please send me your questions at Skating Tripods or Adam at BangTheBook.com. We'll also talk with Kyle Hunter of HunterSportsPicks.com and BangTheBook.com, trying to get through as many conference tournaments as we possibly can. Tuesday, we'll have Rolf Michaels, Tony George, and Brad Powers. I'll see if I want to move Brian Blessing around or not. We'll have another segment, probably recording Tuesday evening with some more conference tournaments with Kyle Hunter. So we'll get that out to you as early as we can, with so many conference tournaments starting on Wednesday. So going to be a very busy week on Bang the Book Radio. Please bear with us. We're going to try to work through it all and cover as much as we possibly can. So you can look forward to that next week, but a lot of stuff to talk about here at this time of the year with baseball, with March Madness, with conference tournaments, all that type of stuff. So keep it tuned to Bang the Book Radio. I promise we'll take care of you.